Hey everybody, thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Cooking with Shane. This is week 7. This is our last week. It has gone by so fast, and I'm glad that you've been able to join me. I hope you're trying some of these recipes. I hope you're having fun with them, and I hope that you're having a really great summer. So we're going to get right into it. Last day, I thought I'd save a really good one for last. So we are sticking with our theme of Tales and Tales. And today, we're going to go with that favorite kind of lunchbox dessert, devil dogs. We're going to make homemade devil dogs. And it's basically just, it's kind of like a whoopie pie, and you just kind of shape it differently. The cake mix, the batter itself is really easy to make. We'll get that together really quick. The filling is really easy to make. The only part that takes a little bit of work is actually kind of getting the devil dog shape. And that is a little technical, but I'm going to walk you through how to do that. But before we can do that, we have to make the batter. So we are going to go ahead and show you what we're going to put in our batter. So this is all the ingredients we need for the cake batter itself. We've got 2 cups of flour, a cup of sugar, a half a cup of cocoa, a teaspoon of baking soda, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, we're going to use a teaspoon of vanilla. We have 6 tablespoons of melted butter and 3/4 of a cup of milk. And that's it. So let's show you how to make this batter. Is it. You made the batter for the devil's food cake, the actual cake that will become the devil dog. Very simple. You can't get much more simple than that. You just basically throw it all in and mix it up. You might have noticed that I kind of whipped it for a minute, and then I turned the speed up to medium, or I whipped it for a minute on low, then I turned up to medium and whipped it for about 2 minutes. You just want to make sure you're getting a lot of good air in that cake batter. Alright, so now comes the hard part of kind of making this and look kind of like the devil dog. So for this, we are going to need piping bags. So I go out, you can get these in kind of your big box stores or specialty stores, but you can get them in the big box store. You can get like 12 bags for a couple bucks, and they come with the little tips. So we're going to put our batter in here. So this is sort of what is going to separate this from a whoopie pie. So basically what we've made is a whoopie pie batter. You could kind of scoop this out and make little cookies, and they'd be good. You could make this just a regular cake at this point. But we're going to take it one step further, and we're going to make devil dogs. So we're going to put our batter in the bag, and then what we're going to do is, obviously we have to bake them. So this is I'm going to show you kind of what I do to help me make these. You kind of want to make sure that they're all relatively the same size, because if you make some that are bigger and some that are smaller, they're not going to match up when you kind of put them into kind of that big sandwich devil dog that we're used to. So let me show you the trick that I use for that. So basically, this is the parchment paper. You're going to want to use parchment paper anyway. So why not use it to our advantage? So this will help us kind of make our, the length that we need. We want to keep them about the same length. And because we're using a piping bag, we know that we're going to be about the same shape and width, but the length is what's really important. So what I've done is I'm going to make about 3-inch whoopie pie, devil dogs. So I've made a block down to a line. This is 3 inches. And then I've made another block of about 3 inches. So I've given myself a little bit of room in between because the cookies are going to want to grow and expand. So I'm just making 2 rows of 3. And then I'm going to put them about 1 inch, 1.5 inches apart. Now I didn't mark that. If you wanted to, you could kind of mark where an inch and a half is. I'm just going to eyeball it. And if you're worried about the pencil, you don't really have to worry about it, because we are going to turn it over and you can still see the lines through the paper. So the pencil is going to stay on the bottom and it's never going to touch your food. Okay, so we've got our piping bag and our tip, and we want just a regular open hole tip. You don't want like a fluted tip that comes down to a point. You want an open, round tip. As big as you can kind of get. This is probably as big as you'll get. In a package you can go out and get bigger ones if you want to make really big devil dogs, but this will work fine for what we're doing today. So if you've never used a piping bag, they have a little tip on the end. You actually have to cut that tip off. And you don't want it to be too much bigger. You don't want to cut down too much below where the end of this is going to be. So you don't want to cut like way down here, because when you try to put the little tip in, it's not going to fit. So if you need to kind of gauge it, you can just put it up to the side there, and you can cut a little bit below where that is. And then give it a test. Perfect. You should see a little bit of the tip come out of the plastic, should be outside of the plastic, and the rest should be inside. You can kind of see there's just a little bit of the purple tip kind of sticking out, and then the bag starts here, and all of this is still inside the bag. If too much of this is out of the bag, when we apply pressure on this end, we can actually kind of push this out. So we want just enough out that when we apply pressure, it's not going to pop out, and you can get a nice even pressure when we're kind of putting on our devil dogs. Okay, so filling these bags can be a little bit difficult by yourself if you're not used to it. Basically what you do, you kind of fold over the top about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and then you're going to take your spoon and plop all this in. Now if you're worried that the batter's going to kind of go down through and it's going to leak all over the place, go ahead and just kind of set it in a cup. Okay? So if anything comes out, it's just going to land in the cup. It's not going to be on your table. So we're just going to scoop this in. We're not going to put it all in because there's too much. We're going to fill this about halfway. And then roll the top back up. And then squeeze and give the top a little twist. So this is going to help give even pressure, because you want even pressure on this hand. So when you're pressing down, you're going to hold with this hand. This is what's going to give you your nice straight line. But this hand is what's going to push the top of the batter down through the tip. And that's what's going to give you your nice even line. So let's go ahead and show you how to do a few of the devil dog shapes. Alright, so I've got my line here. You can kind of see the line here. I'm going to do kind of a big, and then I'm going to do a thin line down, and I'm going to do another kind of a bigger. So that's going to kind of give me like a bone-looking shape. It's not going to bake like that. This is all going to kind of cook out. That's why we want to give enough room in between. But it is going to give you the classic kind of wider on the end, thinner in the middle. So we're going to finish these up. Do kind of a little dollop, a straight line down, and then another dollop. And that's it. Alright, so we're going to bake these in batches. I'm going to put this one in the oven, 350 degrees. They only cook for about 9 to 10 minutes because they're not very big. Like I said, if you wanted to make these a little bit longer, you could. If you want to make them bigger, just get a bigger tip. But these are going to cook up 9-10 minutes, 350 degree oven, and then we are going to show you how to make the filling. So we're going to cook these off, and then we'll make the filling. Now, while the devil dogs are cooking, we're going to go ahead and make the filling. That's the good thing about this, is you kind of do one while the other's cooking and they're all done at the same time. Then all you really have to do is kind of wait for those little cookies to cool just a little bit before you frost them. So we're going to go ahead and I'll show you what is in the frosting. Alright, so all it is 1 cup of powdered sugar, 6 tablespoons of softened butter, just room temperature, just take it out and let it sit out a half hour or so, teaspoon of vanilla, and 7 ounces of marshmallow cream. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cream our butter and our sugar, and then we're just going to add in our marshmallow cream and our vanilla until it's all blended. That is it. We have our cream, our marshmallow cream for the filling done. We've got our devil dog cakes. We have enough out. They're out and they're cooled. So I'm just going to show you how to frost them. So it's not like kind of scooping it out and frosting. We actually are going to need a piping bag again. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same technique. We're going to kind of judge the size of it. And cut the tip off. And the same thing, you want just a little bit of the tip kind of poking out. Fold it over, and then we're just going to scoop it into the bag. This is a really sticky filling, so you really don't have to worry about the filling coming out the bottom. The cake batter is a little runnier, so it will. This is not going to, so don't worry about it, but if you really want to, you can use the cup trick again. Just put it in and scoop it in. So let's show you how to frost these things. So you'll see we've got that classic devil dog shape where it's kind of wider at the middle and it comes at the end. It resembles a dog bone much more when it's before it's cooked, and then it kind of pushes out. But you do kind of get that shape where you get bigger at the end, it comes in the middle. So what I've done is, because these are homemade, they're all going to be just a little bit different. So I've matched them up so that they're kind of the same size. So when we do put the cookie on top, we don't have any that are like way longer or wider. You kind of want to make sure you do that. Just kind of match them up. If they don't match up, that's fine. These are homemade. These are, you kind of expect these to look homemade, and that's fine. The most important part is that they taste good. So we've made sure of that because we've made a really good batter and we made a really sweet cream. So to fill these in, so again, we're going to use our piping bag and then twist the top, because that's going to keep air from, and it's going to keep the filling from popping out, and it's going to allow you to have really good control right here. So this is where you want to be focusing a lot of your attention, is keep really good pressure on your thumb and your finger. And then maybe this middle finger too. And as you go down the bag, then you start adding a little bit more pressure with your other fingers. But what we do is we just take the cakes that are kind of flat side up, and then we kind of fill it in, kind of the same thing we did with the batter. A little bit down the middle, a little bit. So you don't want to overfill these because you don't want the filling, well, I should say you shouldn't want it to, but you really do want it to because this tastes really good. But what you don't really want is the filling to kind of like scoop down the sides and kind of make it really difficult to eat. And to even take this one step further and make sure that that doesn't happen, what we're going to do is we're actually going to put these in the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes. We want this filling to set up just a little bit, because if we put the top on now and smush it down, all that filling is going to kind of like go off to the side. So we're going to let this filling set so it gets a little hard, not like really hard, but just hard enough that when we push down, it'll push out and cover the cake, but it won't come down the sides. So we're going to put this in the fridge 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll show you because we're almost done.